So what's up, guys? So no edits. I'm gonna jump right into this conversation. Going a little bit off script. You know, I've been talking about Catholic youth ministry, what's working, what's not working, all of that. And today, I want to bring you onto a conversation that I've had with my son. Um, yeah, and so for context, Christian goes to Catholic school. Christian continuously goes to two different youth groups in two different parishes, two different communities, and sees different styles. Has been to camp, has been to retreats, been more like very contemplative style prayer, more charismatic style prayer. He plays in the sports team. So that's the context and basis of this conversation. But Christian, a couple weeks back, I want to bring up, you were at a youth group and there was a conversation about bringing people in. And yeah, there was kind of a pushback that you got. How did that all go? Just walk us through that situation and we'll play it out from there.
I mean, like they were trying to find out new ways to like grow the youth group, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my idea was bringing it into sports because that's just what I do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I was telling them, I'm like, nobody's gonna want to come to youth group because the second option was like prayer and like going to church, like going into like liturgy, like you said, or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about off camera a little bit.
Yeah, like that's not going to work for somebody that's coming for their first time to anywhere. If you want more people to come, that means that there's going to be like first time people a lot. So you have to know what everyone will go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up sports because who's going to pass up on going to go eat some for free and then they go play ball? Nobody's going to pass up on that.
Right. So what you were saying essentially, and if anybody knows, I mean, specifically if you use basketball as an example, basketball was literally created for evangelization. Go do the research, go look it up, people. Like, it's literally the creation of the game. The purpose of it was that from the beginning. So, but it doesn't necessarily have to be basketball. It could be soccer, it could be baseball, it could be football, right?
Yeah.
Like, you play football, but I think the idea of what we were saying beforehand is finding interests that people are connected to and then starting conversations and connecting with them from there first.
Exactly. And when you look at it, like, for example, one of my friends went to a youth group for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
right, from school. He doesn't go to church, nothing, right? And the first time he goes, they're in the church. And he was like, yo, bro, I'm not gonna lie, this feel like school, bro. I don't even want to be here. And it's like, nobody's gonna want to be there if they don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
So why not bring them to something that they know already and like they could just chill, you know what I'm saying? They could just, or like, it just be like socially, like they could be more social with people. And from there, you could just grow from that.
Right. So, just out of curiosity, because you literally just told me about this situation. We talk about stuff all the time, but like, so was it like mass? Was it adoration? Was it a rosary?
It was
like,
mass.
what was it?
It was mass.
It was so mass directly.
It was mass. And when somebody goes to mass for the first time and they don't know what they're doing, like, they're just not gonna want to be there anymore. So it's like they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. Like, there's just no like nobody, like if you were to bring someone who be on the block and just like they don't do nothing with themselves and they decide, you know what, might as well just go with one of my mans that goes here.
Yeah.
They're not gonna want to be there.
Right. So this is not to take away because the people who watch or see this, for the majority are people that are involved in ministry, right?
Of course.
And so it's not to take away from the importance and the beauty and all that stuff of the mass.
Exactly.
What it is recognizing where people are and then learning how to, especially young people, and then figuring out how to bring them to that. Right?
Exactly.
So I didn't name, the title of this video is Why Catholic Sports is Beating Catholic Youth Ministry. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So in contrast, like, why do you think if people are going to be joining, go play ball, or let's go to this football tryout, or hey, let's get on Madden and do something, like, why would they be more attracted to that as opposed to like, hey, come to this church event?
That's something you could do in your average daily life. Like, there's mad, like, for example, one of my friends, when he first came to the school, he never played football.
Yeah.
And he, like, joined or whatever, and now he's, like, full-time a part of the team and everything. And it just goes to show that once someone is invited to something that they feel like they could do in their daily lives, and, like, they expect, like, that to happen, they're just gonna want to keep coming back.
So it should connect to
Their
average reality.
the average person. Like, a lot of people are athletic. Like, let's just put it like that. Like, a lot of people that need the help like that can actually do something athletically, right?
Yeah.
So when you put it into the place where you know they're at, they're gonna just keep coming back, eventually, over and over and over again. And then from there, when it comes to the games, like, let's just say someone's playing Madden or 2K or something like that, they're gonna, like, that's just something that almost everybody I know does.
Well, it's the social part, right?
Exactly.
So I remember there's these terms that I learned before, right? Like there's the social, there's the spiritual, there's the service, right? So the social is what you're speaking to. The spiritual is mass, prayer, liturgy, like all those things, scripture reading, like all of those things that we do, right? Catechesis, some of the big words and all that. But then there's the service-based things, like, hey, let's go help people. Because I remember the conversation you had. And again, you might not be remembering, because I picked them up from a particular youth group. We're driving back home. You're telling me about, and you was heated, like you literally was like, yo, and everybody's like, we need to evangelize, and then you're like, but yo, you don't even come to group, and then you were like, and then you were like, oh no, we need to help old people, I think is what somebody else said, and then so like, but you were making the argument of all the things that people can learn through sports that can connect back to faith. So yeah, let's go back to that.
Let's just, to start off, every sport is a team, except for, like, tennis, and nobody plays tennis. So
shouts out to the tennis players.
Like, I don't know how you find that enjoyable. I guess, like, you know what I'm saying?
There's people that like tennis. Maybe not in New York City. Well, it's actually, I mean, there's a youth group kid recently that I was doing that I found he's playing tennis. But
that's like one in a million.
It's a rare occasion.
That's like once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, continue.
But everybody plays basketball. That's the one sport that everybody plays, no matter what sport you play.
Yeah. So you were saying team sports. That's essentially what you're saying. Yeah.
Like every sport that you can connect people to has to be, like, with a team, right? It's not like you could just play by yourself basketball. Well, you can, but it's not the same. Like, you're just playing by yourself. When you're with a team and everything, it just builds leadership and, like, good qualities in a person. So eventually, you're gonna have to work with your team in order to get where you need to be, or to win. Let's just put it like that. And when you're trying to build people into staying in church and becoming leaders, why wouldn't you want that quality to be there? So it just doesn't make any sense why you would want to put somebody in the church first before you even turn them into someone that could work with a team.
So let's name some of those qualities, because you said leadership, right?
Exactly.
So strength. Now there's physical strength. There's also emotional, psychological. Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of mental, like, with your mind. Like, you have to put your mind to something in order to do it. So if you put your mind to, okay, let me get all these kids together and let's just have a day where it's open to everybody. Anybody could come. You know what I'm saying? And they just all gonna be here, but in reality, it's all connected to church, right? You're bringing a bunch of people that don't know who God is, and then you're gonna have them introduce them to it in a place where they know, like, that they could be. Like,
so let's add words to that again, right? So let's give words. So we believe that God became one of us. He stepped into our world. He stepped into our reality, right? He's God with us, Emmanuel, right?
Exactly.
So in the sense, if we want to share God, we can't make them come to us. We also need to Emmanuelize, bring God to them.
Exactly.
And be with them in their world.
Yeah. That's a fact. And,
so other qualities. Let's keep going.
Other qualities, strength, leadership, teamwork.
Community building.
Communication.
Yeah, communication.
Also like thinking, like processing, like the ability to process something and to create into like, I don't really know the exact words, but
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I'm,
critical
yeah,
thinking.
like critical thinking,
Yeah,
yeah, like critical thinking. But you just like like for me, like when it comes to like football, let's just talk about the plays. Everybody has to do their job.
Mhm.
If you have one person not doing their job, that means that the play isn't working.
Right.
You have to get everyone on the field to do their job at least. That's just number one.
Mhm.
The second step to that is them knowing everybody else's job. So if you know your job and then you know everybody else's job, then that makes you a leader.
Right. So let's also give context, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
if you had to say a percentage, neighborhood, friends, school, even in a Catholic school, how many are actively engaged with their faith currently?
Actively,
Yeah.
like do they, like, all right, let me bring this up. A lot of people in the school definitely believe in God.
Yeah.
And even in a Catholic school, there are some Muslims, there's also
Right.
some other people like that, right? And even through that, I would say practicing like 5%, like 5-6%.
Right.
Like yeah, but like believing, like they've seen certain things and that's made them believe that there is a God.
Yeah.
And that there is God
Mhm.
is like, I say like almost 100%.
So most believe that there is a God.
Yes.
They don't know how, and they don't have a sense of a practice or organized faith or religion that they're committed to.
Exactly.
Now, that's 5%. If you had to say, just from talking to kids, like, how many would you say their families are practicing or a part of
I would
that?
say like a good like 75-80%.
You think
I would say, yeah.
you think the majority of their families either go to some type of church or place of worship?
The thing is that they may go to church, but they're not like, they just walk through it like it's a zombie. Like oh, it's time to pray. Oh, it's time to stand up, sit down.
Yeah.
Stand up, sit down, get on your knees. Oh, like things like that. Like
Yeah.
that's not really
So
like
they go through the motions
through
of
the
faith.
motions of faith, but they
do
don't
the
really believe.
devotions.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. But having a
real
strong
connection.
Real connection.
Real connection. They don't have that.
Yeah. The word I was going to use is conviction. Like they're convicted. Like, no, God is real. Jesus became, and there's a result that needs to happen in my life.
I'll say they say that, but their actions say otherwise. They'll say, oh, you know what I'm saying? I know God is real. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of experience I've had that God is real, but their actions show otherwise.
Right.
And that's where the difference is.
So we'll come back to the sports thing in a second. But you've been a part of a bunch of different things,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you think? I mean, we've also been in charismatic circles, seen miraculous things happen.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We've had quiet family prayer time, all of those things. So, like,
Yeah.
you've seen a mixture of it all.
Mm-hmm.
For your average friend or just even acquaintance, someone that you meet, what do you think, other than sports, like things that you've already seen work? Like, what are things you think would work?
Things that I think would work.
Yeah.
I feel like really it just the idea of meeting people where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what someone is doing or whatever.
So
you have to meet someone where they are.
Give me some examples of times you've seen people you met where they at.
I would say when we went to camp last year,
Mm-hmm.
like it was pretty crazy. Like you know what I'm saying? But basically, like a lot of them were like hood kids, like people that grow up in the same areas and all that, right? So when you look at like that, they didn't really know God like that. But when they went to camp, they try to meet them where they were with things like the basketball camp and everything like that. Like
Yeah,
they
well,
try to
there was
meet
some
people
social
where
parts,
they
right? The
were.
games, the way club is designed.
They try to meet people where they are, and that's the problem. A lot of people try to bring people into the church, but for a first time person, they're just not gonna want to.
Now, what about
be involved like that?
What about okay? So you think the structure of camp is one of the things that definitely works for someone that's on outside? Okay, what's another structure that you think like has had, even if it's eye-opening moments? Oh, you know what? Let's break it down. Let's break it down by thing. In the messaging, right? What are some things that like are key moments that would like make somebody pay attention and be like, oh, hold up, wait, maybe something's here.
You have to, if you don't know what people are really going through, you can't make that connection. If you don't know what like the real world like issues that a lot of people deal with, like for example, I know one of my friends, he had to pay his own mom's rent, like, or another one of my friends is a rapper, like he's trying to find a way through that, and when you look at it like that, it's all like you have to understand what a person is truly going through in order to make a connection.
So let's start there. Relatability factor. That's number one, right?
I'd say if you don't have a true idea of what's really going on in the world, you're never going to be able to make that connection. You just can't be like, oh, I hear about these things, but I don't think it's really true. That's not the truth. These are real world problems that people even as young as 14, 13 are going through.
Right.
And like, for example, I remember it was a kid that was going to school or whatever, and he looked like a little kid, no lie. He looked like he was in the 3rd grade, but he's in high school.
Okay.
But he still dealt with these same type of issues, and he was with us all the time. So it's just
there's a relationship with the people and the relatability to that. Let's name it clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. What's another key thing that would help enhance the messaging for people?
I would say like if you don't know how to connect with somebody like that, like it's not only like what we said before with the messaging and you got to understand all that. You also have to know how to speak with somebody. Like if you don't know who they are, you have to be open and just like be able to like sit down, no matter even if they trying to be disrespectful or I don't really want to talk to you, all this stuff. Like especially with the prime example, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they'd be anywhere and everywhere, no matter what happens, and they don't care. It doesn't matter. That's how people need to be.
Wait, I feel like you're saying two things here. You're saying the ability to listen.
Yes.
That's one. But then you're also saying the boldness to go out. Those are two separate things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? I'll be with some, like, even though it's a Catholic school, it's still New York City. And at the end of the day, no matter where you go, you're gonna see someone that's really in the hood, right? So even the hood kids really know that I go to church and everything.
Yeah. I'll say it for you. That when the Pope died, because they know what I do, they go to him and be like, yo, fill in the blanks. Bleep, bleep, the Pope died. Yo, don't your pops know the Pope? Right?
Yes, that's exactly what they said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they said.
Right. So and I mean, the funny thing is, like, I mean, we've shared stories of where they even like have tried to be like respectful because they're like, oh, nah, like God and you and your family, whatever.
Like,
so I'm gonna try.
Like, I remember one time I was chilling with my friends, and they had this question because one of them saw a video about how like animals are slaughtered and everything like that,
Yeah.
and it was like, that makes me not want to eat like certain animals and stuff like that. And then they brought up how doesn't God just like, you know what I'm saying? He said you can eat any type of animal you want in the Bible.
Yeah.
That's what he said to what's his name, the one that followed Jesus.
He's not paraphrasing this.
No, this is really what they said.
Yeah. Yeah, but they were asking
and then they
you for
asked
clarity.
me. They asked me for, like, oh, do you know? Yeah, I know. He know what we talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like things like that. Like, you have to be able to be comfortable showing who you truly are.
That's another one. Authenticity. So okay, you've named them without naming them, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back. There's the boldness.
Mm-hmm.
There's the ability to listen. There's the ability to relate, and then the last one you just said.
You gotta be an authentic person.
Yeah,
You
like
can't act like a robot.
Yes, and we've talked about certain people in certain situations in certain communities that they feel like they put on a mask of holiness rather than just being the authentic selves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just how it has to be.
So anything else? Let's talk messaging that you feel like is necessary.
Messaging.
Other than the things we named.
I feel like if let's just say first time, like, you know what I'm saying, being at a youth group or whatever, I think you have to make a person believe that they're able to go back over and over again. If they don't feel welcomed, they're not gonna come back. That's another.
Yeah.
If they don't feel welcome, they're not gonna come back.
Right.
Not gonna come back.
Right. So the volunteers, the staff,
and this connects back to what we were talking about before. Of you need to build a team, and if you really want to build people that are authentically themselves, they're bold, they know what they're talking about, and they actually can connect with somebody. Mm-hmm. You have to go to the people that you want to come to the church.
Right. So this is going back to leadership and team building. Going back to the sports analogy. Right.
Exactly. If you bring, and it's just one option. There's multiple other options, but this is a great point. For example, mm-hmm. when we talk about, there was a kid that went to your youth group. You don't come no, he didn't come no more or whatever. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, he came around only when we would come and play basketball. Mm-hmm. Majority of the time I would see him. Mm-hmm. And when he stopped coming around, I follow him on Instagram, he went right back to what he was doing on the block. So it don't matter. You have to make it more you have to make it more available. Like, you have to
I'll make it clear that even that kid wanted to sit with us at mass.
Exactly.
But there were other community members that made it uncomfortable for
exactly. Him. And you have to make a person feel like they can authentically be themselves and also be like welcomed. Like, they have to feel welcomed.
Okay, so that's a big one. Okay, so and that's going into something else there, because you've heard me in passing, but even with this, like, you're talking about the members. So we move from message to members. So, like, the members are the adult staff, leaders, volunteers, and even the kids that are regulars, right? Because we've seen other situations where it's not necessarily the adults, it's the other teens that have made new teens feel
exactly. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You have to make it feel like anyone could come around, and you have to teach that message also. You have to make it known that no matter what who's here, who's around, even if you think they're like a weirdo, like, especially for like the kids, like, if you think they're a weirdo, that doesn't mean you discriminate against them. Like, that's just how they are, and you can't make them like you. You know what I'm saying? But
it's accepting people for who they are and being able to welcome them into the space, no matter what that is.
There's no discrimination against anybody.
And we don't mean only ethnically when we say that. Because
you're
right. No.
We're talking about the personality.
I'm saying that specifically because we've been in Hispanic parishes, we've been in white parishes, we've been in black parishes, we've been in...
Yeah.
And the issue of discrimination is not an ethnic thing in most cases. It's a mindset. it's culture that's different than ethnicity, right?
Yeah.
It's a personality thing that is not welcome in those spaces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like another example, when
Yeah.
you worked at another parish, you know, you had to welcome another group in instead of just sticking with the other group that was already there, the majority. You had to bring in the minority.
Yeah.
And that's really what a lot of churches
And
have to
majority and
do.
minority doesn't only mean white and black.
No.
It just means, because in particular communities, the majority might be Hispanic, the minority might be black.
Exactly.
In particular communities, the majority might be black and the minority might be white, depending on where you are. So, yeah.
Exactly. And you just
Right.
have to be open to letting everybody come in, and you have to be welcoming, like I said.
Right. Okay. So that we went through messaging, we went through members, things that help. What about music? What would help the music?
All this music is trash. I'm sorry. All of it's trash. Like, I cannot listen to that. Like, you have to play things that, like, you know, they listen to. Like, you have to ask people, like this is back to also being welcoming, and you have to also be authentically yourself. You have to make them feel like they're welcome and authentically themselves, and start conversations with people, so that then you could see, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, you listen to all these, like, for us, it's like drill rappers.
So you're talking about the diversity
like,
of genres.
This is the genres. Like,
Yeah.
you have to see what people are listening to, or like who they're around, who they follow, like things like that, and just you have to ask them about it. But you can't be like acting like you're clueless. Like, this come back to, you have to know what's really going on.
Right.
You can't just be like, oh, who is that? Oh, that looks horrible, what they're doing.
Well,
like, that's not.
I don't know if you know this story, but part of my transition, right? There was a particular person, complete opposite of me, shirt, tie, comb over hair, like, you know, like, and they got curious about what I was listening to. And I remember a couple weeks, like, in a row, they would ask me about, like, just rap music stuff, like, hey, this, that. And then they would go back, listen, go back, watch the movies, and then come back. And so they weren't, it wasn't them, but they also weren't being fake about it. They were genuinely curious in order to connect with me. Yeah.
Exactly. You have to be. It just goes back to those things that we were talking about. Like, those are traits that you need to have in a person, and I feel like through sports you can find those traits.
Yeah.
And not everybody's gonna have those traits, but you're gonna have variety. I'd rather have variety over just the base level thing. I'd rather have a variety of different people than just everyone stick to the book, stay on top of this, and that, and that's it. No, you have to have different people for different situations and different circumstances.
Right. So, okay, so we went through a couple things there. I want to kind of make sure it's clear, because you're even saying, in a sense, like personalities and roles and understanding how that thing works.
Exactly.
That's another part. We'll hold that for a quick second. But what about the space itself, right? So, and I think you can say this because you, big church setting, small church setting, right? The huge cathedral looking things. You've been to the ones with like the wooden on the walls and rugs in the middle, smaller. That's just the Paris setting. You've been to like the hard metal chairs versus the couches, the bean bags versus the rooms, the lights versus the no light. So yeah, you've seen both sides. Name some things that work and don't work?
I feel like you got to make it seem like it's someone's room. You got to make it seem like it's somebody's room. Like, you got to have like the LED light. You got to make it feel comfortable.
Right.
You have to make someone feel comfortable in the space. And if someone feels uncomfortable in the space, back to the example of the kid in the church, he didn't want to be there because he felt uncomfortable in that space.
Right.
So when you see things like that, you have to address it and make it more comfortable. You have to make the space feel more comfortable to everybody. So no matter who they are, what they are, a lot of people's rooms look the same. You know, they got a comfortable space where they could sit down or lay down, and then there's like a rug maybe, and then a lot of people have LED lights and a TV. That's just the basic, easy level thing that you could get. You get LED lights from Home Depot. Like
Five below.
Literally, like there's multiple different places you could get all these different things. Like you could just get a nice couch you get it from TikTok. You could get
TikTok
a
shop,
couch from a couch. You're like,
you're the ones that's like rolled up and stuff.
Yes, and you inflate it, and then that's it. It's there. Like you could just get all these pieces, real cheap, real easy, and then you'll make it a comfortable space for people to be.
Why do you think that communicates something to them as opposed to, again, let's just so the more uncomfortable seating, then less pay attention to details with lighting and all that other stuff?
Because they're going to be like, oh yeah, what? I'm about to just lay down right here and just chill. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to mind my business. And then from there, you need to be bold. You need to go into where they are and you need to have a conversation. And you're going to meet them in a comfortable place where they feel comfortable and able to just chill and relax. And that's when you can start a conversation and be genuine and also be authentically yourself, but also curious and ask them questions about who they are and try to get to know them.
Okay, so what it communicates that the space is made for them, and you still, even once that's done, you're just saying you can't end there. Like, just having a comfortable space isn't enough. You still have to do these other things of what you're saying.
Exactly. That's why we brought up what you need first. And then once someone's there, then you have to use those different traits and places and circumstances and all those things. You have to, this is why you need to like use you need to really think about, okay, I don't know who this person is, but I don't mean I'm just not going to talk to them, or I'm gonna make them feel like they're by themselves or whatever. You have to make it seem like, yeah, there's a lot of different people here, but what about you? Like, what are you like doing in your daily life that brought you here to this point? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
have that conversation.
That's that. Now I have another one called the mission territory. Now the reason why I'm gonna go here is the context of the initial conversation that you had was about showing up at different parks, showing up at different community spaces, and it wasn't like hosting sporting events. It was going into the community and doing sporting events that would attract people. Like, why did you feel like that could work?
Because if somebody's walking down the block, like you'll see like all these like different parades or different things like that. People from all over will come to this one place or like people that are just walking down the street will see, oh yeah, this is happening. Let me see if I could go a little bit later, or if this is happening, then why don't I just go right now and just see what it's about, right? You need to meet people where they are, and just you have to. I lost the words.
Well, this goes back to being present. This is what you were saying before, but I think. Because what you were describing, like, oh, I might come back later. It's grabbing their attention by being present.
It's like being an ad.
Ooh, say it again.
It's like being an ad.
It's being like an advertisement.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's like when you're on YouTube and then you'll see that random soap ad.
That's mad specific.
Dove soap scrubs and clean better than all the other competitors. Like you have to make it seem like an advertisement, like something that appeals to.
So I never thought about this, but like advertisements, technically they interrupt what you're normally doing, what you're trying to do, and they grab your attention in the space.
Exactly.
So by going out into the community, by the term I like to be in the mission territory, being on mission in all those spaces, you're interrupting the normal daily flow of life, and then you're meeting them with the gospel in between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because when you catch somebody off guard with something, and you bring them something, even if they don't really listen, you would rather be the person that initiates the thought in their mind of going to it, than just not saying anything at all.
Mm. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say something. I think you get annoyed with this, get annoyed with me sometimes with this stuff. But for some people that watch this are not only involved in ministry, but they're also Catholic parents.
Yeah.
It makes it important to interrupt, not in a negative way, right? Not in a like, oh, I'm gonna interrupt just because I don't want you to be happy. It's like, no. Sometimes I hit you with a random, let me sit down on the chair in your room and say what's up, right?
Yeah.
Like interrupting, stepping into that space to be able to just be a part of your world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what you would need to do. And for the parents, like, I wouldn't say force them to go, but you need to know the right place to go.
What do you mean?
Like, certain churches might not fit what your kid really wants, or really
What they
wants to
need.
need what they need
Yeah.
at that. So, like for example, like, I feel like a good example of this is when my friend went back to the same story.
Yeah.
In that exact moment, it wasn't what he needed.
Mm.
He didn't need to sit down and be in the middle of mass. No, he needed to see what the youth group is really about first before he's introduced
Well,
to
if we needed to name it, he needed a community and fellowship.
Exactly.
First. Yeah. Yeah.
He needed the community. He needed a lot of different other aspects rather than just going to a mass.
Yeah.
And
well,
not saying that mass isn't good, but that's not what everyone needs right away.
Well, I mean, here's the argument I use. I don't think you've ever heard me say this before. Even Jesus didn't give them to mass directly to mass until 3 years in. He was already walking with them, talking with them, hanging out with them, praying with them, healing people around them, teaching with them. He was doing all this stuff with them. Now, was he eating with them? And I think there's some people that use the argument like, well, technically they were having the mass all the time. Yes, but the way in which we know it, right, the breaking of the bread and raising of the wine and saying, this is my body, my blood, he didn't give that to them until 3 years in. So he already had fellowship with them for 3 years before he got to that point. And like, I would say that the majority of young people need that.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of like what's a good example? A good example. One of my mans I used to play football with. He doesn't play football anymore, and he kind of went back to his old ways. For better terms. Like he's back
involved
to
in
his
negative
old,
things.
Yes. Yeah. He didn't. His mom died.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was never around,
Mm-hmm.
and he lived with his grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't find community or anything like that. He needed a community, and the only community that met him was those negative groups.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that.
So like,
let's talk about that. Because we haven't been at the playground, the gangs are at the playground.
Exactly.
Because we haven't been in the community centers, because we haven't been at the local corner store bodega, because we haven't been in the pizza shop, because we haven't been in the basketball court, on the football field. We've now made way for not only that. Oh, let's even say the internet, because we haven't been the ones in the forefront of the internet. We've now made way for all the negative things that the enemy to use. Be available in those spaces, and now they've been evangelized by the wrong thing instead of what we want to bring them to.
Exactly. That's the exact issue, because it all leads back to what we were talking about in the beginning of you need to meet people where they are,
Right.
instead of trying to drag somebody to go to something they don't want to be at.
Well, I think there's a bad mentality we have of like, make people come to us. Let's throw an event and make them come to us, rather than let's go to them and create an event with them.
Exactly. It's like even if like you do something simple, like get a bouncy house for the little kids, right? expensive. So expensive, right? Then you just have a bunch of tables with food that you could have the old grandmas that go to church just do, and then you could just like, you know what I'm saying? Then you could have a basketball court on the side or like a basketball rim that you could just set up like that.
Well, I mean, it's fair that I think some places do that, but it's done in a systematic way. I think yes, and I think because that's still an organized event, that's still a big thing. What we're talking about is the average day to day, week to week.
Yeah, you could just go to the basketball court down the block.
Right.
Right. And just set up like an event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because it's public, it's a public area. And there's nothing you need to do to go there.
Go to McDonald's, say what's up.
Yeah.
Give out free McChickens for $1. You know what I mean? I mean, be real. Like, imagine your favorite YouTube streamer just showed up at McDonald's and giving out free McChickens. Like, everybody's pulling up.
Yeah. The thing is that what happens is that back to what these negative groups do, they're all at those places.
Yeah.
So if you really want to change what's happening and you go to these places and they're already there, why not make them into the people that you're trying to speak to on top of that?
You could even say this about what you were saying earlier about the Jehovah's Witnesses or even the Mormons for that matter, right?
Yeah.
They're more bold with their faith than we are.
Exactly. Everybody likes to be in secret.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
so, all right. So let's answer the question and let's land the ship. If you had to answer in a simple term based on everything we just said, why do you think Catholic sports, because, okay, actually, I didn't say this before, but any study we know, look at the NBA, look at the NFL, a lot of these guys went to Catholic school for the sports and are not practicing faith, have not been evangelized.
yeah.
So I'm going to just leave that there. Like, you do with that what you want with that. They've come to our place and we still didn't give them the gospel. Just leave that there. So why do you think Catholic sports is beating Catholic youth ministry?
Let's just give some examples, right? Let's just go football. Lamar Jackson, the first thing he said when he won his I think it's his second or third MVP is he thanked God first before he even thanked anybody else. He thanked God first. That's just one. Let's go another quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Thank God first when he won the Offensive Rookie of the Year. This year with Josh Allen, thank God. Like, these are examples, right?
Well, hold on. Let's just pause. Football in general, Christianity tends to be a part of the culture of football. Not necessarily Catholicism, no. Like,
Yeah. But it's just the fact that it really takes like a lot of dedication, and you need to be a dedicated person to play any sport. You need to be a dedicated person to do anything in general. So if they're not really dedicated and really have their focus on like the fact that they're able to like speak upon this, like Harrison Butker, for example.
Yeah, he's one of the few very bold Catholic
very
people.
bold. Yeah. It's the boldness that people need, because if you're bold about it and you're truly about your faith, then there shouldn't be an issue with you going to the basketball court and seeing a bunch of them YNs sitting on the little chairs and stuff like that, and just, you know what I'm saying, run an event and then having them participate. There should be no issue with that, because everyone should be welcome.
Yeah, and
no matter
we should
where you
stop
are.
being scared of those things, because I've talked about, hey, we know that local smoke shop just got opened up. We know this, and we know they're there, but we're scared to go there. And I've asked in particular communities, can I go there? Can I just hang out outside and say what's up? I've been told no.
No. We can't be doing that.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable.
Out of fear because of the image that may associate with.
And the only thing you should fear is God. You shouldn't fear anything else in the world. You shouldn't fear anything else in the world. That's it. You shouldn't fear anything else in the world. You shouldn't fear any criticism. You shouldn't fear anything, because the only person that truly knows you is God. So the fact that you're fearful of what you're trying to do, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. And they're fearful. So let's be real. And this is, I'm sorry, I'm at a place where I'm also like fed up with a lot of stuff. So without naming names, there's some that are afraid of the image, because the image then can affect funding and all these other perks. And so we become more comfortable in our little sanctuary palaces rather than actually feeling empowered to go on mission. And
people don't want to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
People don't want to get their hands dirty, and that's another problem.
Which is not what Jesus did.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Nor the saints.
No. Even the saint that replaced Judas, he was the first one to die.
Facts. You talking about Stephen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the first one to die.
Yeah.
That's he wasn't even around Jesus like that, and he was the first one to die.
Yeah, but that's that boldness and that fearlessness that we're talking about.
Exactly.
So why? Okay, so let's answer the question again. So there's a boldness. I think this is what you're trying to say, but I'm gonna say it in clearer language. Sports creates a mental, physical, emotional willpower that creates strength, that then makes you more bold in all things that you do. And so that is more attractive to people than your average youth group.
And as you were saying that, I was thinking about it. It's not pride. It's being bold. It's not having a pride, because that might be another thing being feared, that you're creating a pride in somybody. No, instead of creating
there's a difference
a boldness.
There's a difference between pride and confidence. Like
confidence. Like you have to be confident instead of being prideful.
Right.
And that's
okay. Anything else? Why Catholic sports is beating Catholic youth ministry?
I believe, like, for example, I go to Cardinal Hayes, right? So, we're the first ever team to win a state championship, and when you look at it, it was in New York City, in New York City, not in New York State, in New York City. When you look at it, it wasn't a public school that won. It wasn't all these other different charter, none of those schools, right? It was a New York City Catholic school that won the whole thing. After the year before not doing good, we were trash. We came back and we were able to win. And it's by the grace of God that certain things like that are possible to happen. And you just have to have faith in things like that. And before every game, we pray. Before every game, we pray. We pray to Our Father, and then we pray to all these different saints. It'll be like a different saint each game. And
well, yeah. So what you're saying is like a healthy way of incorporating it. I don't even want to answer that question for people, because I think we're just, the goal, right? I think of this is to cause awareness and to kind of cause to shake people up a little bit. Like, hey, look, you're getting beat. What are you going to do about it? Right? There is a healthy way of bridging the gap, which is what you were proposing initially in the conversation. And I think that's where we want to be, right? Because there's a reason why Catholic schools it's a reason why all these sports players want to go to Catholic schools. There's a reason why we have things like CYO programs and all. Yes, all that stuff is good. However, somewhere along the line, we've lost that core message of the gospel value that we have in all of it. You know what I'm saying?
And then another thing, when you said that you're trying to incorporate it and then show them that they're getting beat and what they're going to do about it, I feel like a lot of people that run all these things, they don't have the ability to say, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go get it and I'm going to go and change something. They don't have that ability. They're just going to lay down and just be like, oh, I just give up. I'm okay with what we have here already.
We tried our best.
We tried our best. Exactly. You try your best. That's what you're going to say. after all of that, you're not gonna say, you know what, I could have did better, and I'm going to do better. You're not gonna do that, and you're just a loser. Like in simple terms, you're just a loser, man.
I mean, there's a sense of winning and losing. And we're going to go back to the sports analogy. You can cultivate that spirit and that heart of a winner to go out and actually. I've been holding on to this. I heard this from some random podcast. I said it on St. Heaven City one time, where we've taught faith as a coping mechanism. Oh, the world is bad. I'm going to cope with the things that have happened because Jesus loved me and he comforts me, as opposed to a war strategy. Our faith should be a war strategy. If God is conquering, if he's coming back to redeem and take back, and he's working with us to restore the whole world, then there's a boldness that we need to go out with in all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah. Any final thoughts? Why is sports beating Catholic youth ministry?
I feel like I gave a great blueprint to fix a lot of issues, but yeah, you can do with that what you will, and yeah, that's it.
All right, so build confidence, build leadership, build teamwork, build strength, build boldness.
And you need to find people that are authentically themselves and also are more welcoming to others.
Right, 100%.
Yes.
People with different views and different opinions and different
Exactly.
lifestyles, etc.
We need variety, not by the book.
Right.
You need to have more variety, and you can't just play by the book.
Yeah, so I do all this because my heart is for Catholic youth ministry. I believe if we want to see a world transform, we need to engage young people, their energy, their creativity, their skill set, and these conversations, these things that I've been doing, the resources I'll put out, is all ways to help us do that better and be more effective in all of that. Yeah, make sure you like, comment, hit me up personally. I'm somebody that responds to DMs. If you want to if you're mad because he just called you weak, and to be real, a lot of y'all are just call it as what it is. But like, we can have a conversation about that. Running away from the difficult conversations is just proves the point more, rather than leaning into, so that we can actually grow from it. Head to bethesymbol.com and yeah, subscribe to this channel and go hit up the social media stuff, and we'll talk more from there. Peace, y'all. One.